Good morning, afternoon, whatever time of day you watch this. Welcome on board Eurowings Airbus A320. We're at Skiathos Airport. Just downloaded the scenery from Flight CTO, the one that's actually up to date with the real look of the place. So we've got the new apron up the top there, we've got the new terminal building here too, and the runway obviously sloping very nicely upwards and away. Just taxiing now to runway 01, we're going to do some IFR circuits, well VFR circuits really, because it's a there is only a VFR approach really. So just coming down to runway 01 now. We've set up a flight plan and we set up a hold at Skiathos, which is the VOR, which acts as a kind of initial approach fix. So we're going to be flying outbound, turning right direct to Skiathos, and then establishing ourselves in the hold if needed. But I doubt that will be necessary, so just going to arm the spoilers now. Check the takeoff config is okay, and we're going to put these back to normal. We're already lined up on the runway actually, we just need to turn around the other way. Off of all of the packs and so on, and I'm going to inhibit glide slope mode. I've always done that now in this plane, because if you don't, you have the issue that it will always moan at you about glide path when you're on an ILS approach. So just going to turn around here now. Then we're going to do a flight controls check. So I'm going to use a bit of right brake and right rudder. Start the clock. Set ourselves up on the runway. There we go, we're lined up. So flaps left showing up, right showing up, rudder, full left and right deflection, elevators, and rudder. There we go. Free and correct. Checked. Van light on, strobe lights on, packs are off, anti-ice off for this takeoff. We're going to use flex 61 degrees Celsius, we're going to apply 50%, 60% throttle. Flex, SRS and runway. Nav, no runway. The reason why we don't have runway, we don't have an ILS here, so the autopilot system can't use the ILS to basically keep our takeoff track aligned. Airspeed's rising, engine screen V1. And rotate. Rotate 10 degrees up. Flying runway heading now, positive right, gear up. Gear coming up, runway heading. Fly, engage autopilot now for this. We'll fly runway heading to minimum altitude of 1500 feet roughly. And then we'll fly direct to Skiathos. Skiathos, insert, go to lever climb. And we're going to keep 90 knots or so. So that speed, so we can lift the flaps up. Climb to 4,000 feet then, keeping all signs and lights on. We're already light enough for the arrival. I'm just going to check the MCDU messages here. We've got Skiathos there. Here is the received load sheet. There we go, excellent, obviously. Very light today, obviously, as we are only flying circuits. 10 passengers on board, taking the old cabin crew for a fun drive. There you go, 4,000 feet reached, very quick in this plane, 2 minutes into the circuit. Okay, I am happy with the approach. I'm just going to go and set up the arrival information here. Pack 1 and Pack 2 need to go on, there we go, oops about that. Approach, we need the QNH and all that, I think it's 1008. Temperature was 22. The wind is automatic, that's good, so there we go. 1600 is our minimums. To Barrow F plan, we can exit this hold here actually now. Insert, there we go, so now we'll start turning right. I'm going to set the descent thing there. I'm only going to go 210 knots. constraint wise we need to be 4,000 past this point, and then we descend down according to the constraints. Charts wise, much of a muchness, but we'll have a look at them anyway. Here we go. So here we are, we're flying on the 203 degree radial out of Skiathos VFR, descending by 10 miles to 2,000 feet. So there we go, activating the approach phase deliberately there to stop the speed from going up to 250 knots. Auto brake to medium. For this runway we do need manual braking though. 1007, and in the case of manual braking we shall turn on the brake fans. There we go. So brake fans set. Runway is only 1500 metres long, so it's about 500 metres shorter than Innsbruck, which is already quite short for such a large plane. So we're just going to descend now to 2,000 feet over these miles, so no problem here, and we're keen to keep our flaps on speed for now. Okay, coming down to 2,000 now. I'm going to set 1600, that is our final altitude here at FQ01, which is the final fix and the minimums point. The aircraft's got us on a nice managed descent now down there. Struggling with the frames per second. There's a small issue with Fenix at the moment where it's not actually there's a small bug with the Fenix app at the moment, seems to be not logging in properly. So there you go, constraint to now 2,000 feet. I'm going to start setting the configuration for landing. So we've got flaps 2 straight in. Gear down. Can hold 175 knots for now. Yeah, the aircraft's now going to start descending down to 1600 on the profile, as it says here. Fully set up for landing, so Skiathos Tower, Eurowings 23 Sierra, short, long final, 01 established visual. Or something like that, visual with the runway. Clear to land, whatever. It's not a instrument approach. It's very much a visual approach. We're using the VFR to get us to an initial fix point, which is basically just a distance on a radial, and from that point we are then visual with the field. If not, we can go around. Okay, I'm going to now let the aircraft take 170 knots. I'm going to put flaps free. Flaps free set. Speed check's still good. 160 knots. There we are now established on the inbound course. It does actually use Skiathos NDB and a QDM to that NDB, so a bearing to the station magnetic. But it's not overly accurate, as you can see here. We're on an offset and we need a visual approach anyway.
100 above.
We're 100 above our minimums, we're visual with the runway, so the continue approach will be the way to do it. In the case of a missed approach, we'll climb straight ahead on runway heading to 1500 feet, and then we'll make a right turn again inbound to Skiathos VFR at 4000 feet, enter a hold, set the aircraft up again and make another approach. In the worst possible event, when we land due to wind shear or something like that, then we will, if we have to go around due to wind shear, we'll divert and that'll be to Athens, and I don't want to do that because it's a long way away, and I don't have a flight plan for it. There we go, last point there. We're visual, we now need to descend with 3 degrees roughly, so that's about 700 feet per minute, 600 feet per minute in this case. I'm now going to be making a visual approach, so that means I no longer need to follow this ground track really. We're configured for landing. I don't need the flight directors anymore, they're not telling me anything useful because I'm flying visually. And they're telling me to go off on the wrong track and everything, so flaps down, auto brake set to medium. Speed brakes are armed, we're in climber mode, gear is down, 3 greens, landing lights on, seatbelt signs on. Cabin ready. So here's the field. We've got 2 whites I can see so far. Pappies don't usually have a range right until you're really in line with the runway.
1,000.
Checked. Keep around 3 degrees nose up pitch for now. Let the autopilot do the rest. Okay, there we are. Start to line up with the runway. Be slight along the bank. We've got 3 knots from the right hand side now. It's just a gentle right roll. Now, touch and go, or will we make this full stop? I think we'll do 1 touch and go and then 1 full stop. Profile's okay. Got, well, it looks a bit 3 whites.
500.
Or is that 4 whites? I can't quite tell.
$100. 50, 40, 30, 20, restart.
Flaps 2, go around pitch, go up to 15 degrees nose up, gear up. Go. $4,000, there we go. Thrust to climb. Flaps 2, 1. And hopefully geotrack nav. Nav is now engaged. Making a right hand direct to Skiathos. And then we're going to exit the hold. I don't think we've got a hold anymore. So we're going to do an approach again. Approach phase. Sub-ideal. It's always interesting to see how this thing works in terms of going around and so on. So we're back inbound to SKP, 8 miles, insert, go. Why can't I choose something here? these all manually, I guess. Go. Thank you. So this time we're only going to have a visual to the final part here. The rest is going to be the same. We're set up for the go around, we've got all of our stuff set back to normal. So that'll be normal approach now. So we're descending to that point there, that's the same one we were on before, 10 miles away at 203 radial. Yeah. We're probably inbound on it now, 203. And standard rate right turn at 185 knots max. So we're really below that, which is fine. 15 minutes flight time. We've got flaps 1 set for now. 2,000 within 5 miles. That's going to take me another 1,500 feet at that speed, that's alright. Let's take a 3-degree glide path. Offset flaps 2 and demand 160 knots. Now that should intercept the speed with the gas. Grand. Okay. Still set for the approach.
$2,500.
So there's our waypoint. About 1.5 miles ahead. So the next point now is to turn right onto about 330 degrees. Actually 280 is a base leg, so there we go, base leg now. We'll start at descent to 1600. Using 1.5 frame. Yeah, FPA angle. Flaps 2, flaps 3, speed was checked beforehand. As you can see there, we're still within the orange markers on the PFD, the primary flight display here, these little markers here. They are basically what tell me am I underneath or above the flap speeds. So there we go, safely within the next flaps. Looking to the right, looks like we need to be establishing on the course now, so 008. There we go, that'll take us towards the runway there. Okay, landing gear down. Signs are on. Do you want that one on too? Cabin is ready. Flaps 2 full. We'll fly this heading now until it looks like we're ready for the descent. So I'm just going to look on this chart here. That's going to tell us roughly where we need to be. A little bit to the right, so I can actually deviate slightly to the left and take 003 degrees. We're at minimums now, so yeah, continue the approach, looks good for me. Velocity wise, We go bring it back down to 130 something knots. 125 looks like that's our final approach speed today. 125, vertical landing speed 130. VLS. No, V velocity landing speed, it's just landing speed. Okay. Looks like we're now on the profile. Autopilot off. Jimmy across the left, I'm going to start my 3 degrees now. Okay, looks okay. I'm going to come in over the island and then turn right. Flight director off. FPA bug is slightly to the left, we've got 5 knots coming from the right hand side. Approach wise it's looking okay. Let's start very shallow right turn now. Steepen it up a bit and just watch the descent rate as I'm in the turn. It has a habit of not doing what I want it to do. Keep it down. Bit low on Pappy. Yeah, come up slightly. Can't actually see the Pappies. So I'm just making a nice visual approach. Got 1 white and 3 reds. Okay, I'm actually aiming for the runway numbers now.
100.
Heavy flare due to the very uphill.
50, 40, 30, 20. Retard. 5.
Touchdown. Never mind with the braking, there we go, so I'm just going to slowly brake it off the runway. We've got this left exit here. Okay, and back to the gate. Second landing was much better than the first, I'll say that. However, the approach was a little bit dodgy. That was definitely hitting some passengers or some standers, passers-by on that little bit of beach there. But you know, when I actually made that flare, the problem is you've got to make quite a big flare to get this approach properly. And then by the time you've done that flare, you've ended up overshooting the touchdown zone and having more problems than it's worth having. So yeah. But Phoenix definitely needs to sort out the reverse thrust problem there. That is far too annoying for me to be okay with. Basically makes reverse thrust unusable. Parking brake set, and that's all up. Engines off. All lights off. What does Volanta think? Atlanta reckons I did 2 landings in the same place, almost, on the touchdown zone. One was 18 feet per minute climbing. The other one was at minus 255. So that was the first one, and the second one was 18. And the reason why it was 18 is because the runway slopes up. So that to actually get a proper flare, you need to have a positive. You need to be climbing, actually. And you'll still be landing it quite hard. That was what? 1.02 G. The other one was 1.1 G, so quite an impact force. The second one was a much lower impact force, only 0.02 more than normal. There you go, VFR circuits at Skiathos.